Peace. So you know who it is. So check this out. We all hear about being big boned, right? Suppose I told you that it was really a myth. So today we're going to discuss about the big bone myth, and that really you having quote unquote big bones is not the cause of your weight gain. All right, I got my notes in front of me, so we're gonna go check it out, run through it real quick. All right, so big bone myth is really when people say that they carry an excess amount of weight on. So you probably hear it from your auntie or your mom. I'm just big boned, right? That's why I have a overly voluptuous shape, but that's not true. And here's why, right? So usually, it does with the appearance of one. Obviously, that's why they say big bone. But suppose, and according not suppose, but according to research, right, that our bone structure really doesn't have much to do with our weight. Probably just a slight difference, but not a great amount where we're overly uh, carrying an excess amount of fat. I'm being nice by saying fat or obese, right? So here's some fact and fiction we'll run through real quick. So the truth is, people do have different body sizes and frames. So this goes into the body types with ectomorph, endo, and meso. So ectomorph is like the real slim frames, what you call hard gainers. Mesomorph is the athletic built, so they're like an in between the mesomorph, which is the larger rotund or rounded shape uh, people, for those who fit, or archetype that, for those who fit into that category. All right, so you have to be aware of your body type, right? And by scaling your workout, your training program, or your nutrition to that, but it still doesn't mean that you're big boned. Okay, so uh, bone density and mass can vary slightly in different individuals, and one of the variables that can make the difference is gender, activity, and genetics, right? So yes, genetics, and I will do a video on that too. Genetics play a part, but it's not everything, because sometimes we use that as an excuse for not doing what we're supposed to do, because we like to mishandle ourselves because we're comfortable in the mishandling of ourselves. So we get out of shape. That's what the term is, because we all have a range we're supposed to be in. And once we go out of that range, where it's a danger zone, similar to like a blood test, you get your results. You're on the low end, it's still dangerous. If you're on the higher end, it's even more dangerous. So that's caused for immediate attention. So when it comes to our health, we have to be the same way. So we have to stop using being big boned as an excuse to continue to eat the Haagen-Dazs at night. No, you're supposed to be eating no half gallon. Start off with a pint here and there. If you within the range, because if you're 300 pounds, don't be eating that. You know what I'm saying? I highly recommend that, because we want you to start beating the fat, burning the fat. All right. Now, false, right? So that's the truth. Now, the false, right, or the fiction aspect of it is that like I mentioned earlier, bone size does not significantly impact your body weight. All right. So it says that the difference in bone mass only accounts for a few extra pounds, not tens or hundreds. This is the research I did before I got on. So don't get mad at me. I'm just the messenger. All right. So it's not caused by being big bone. What really caused us to go into excess weight, and it's not fats as well. It's an overly abundance of eating too many calories and having a sedentary lifestyle and not moving a lot. So when we increase more and slow out activity, that's when we get body fat. Okay, so it's not necessarily fats that we eat as the macronutrient. It's consuming over amount of calories and slowing down on activity. All right, so they have an inverse relationship. Okay, so keep that in mind. And if you have problem or you need guidance with that, go to the gym, get a trainer, get someone who's trained and who's certified and who's qualified. You know what I mean? Not necessarily everyone who's certified is qualified. And there are people out there that are not quote unquote certified trainers, but they know what they're doing. So find out who's a good fit for you and really start taking your life seriously. Because once you start taking your life and health seriously, you'll see the transformational other aspects of your life. Okay. So now we're going to conclude, because it's not a long video, just trying to be strong, really get y'all guys moving. You know what I'm saying? So there's always hope at the end of the day. There's light at the end of the tunnel, as it is said, right? So knowing your body type and your shape and train for that, and stop using nutrition, stop overindulging in the foods that you enjoy, to make an excuse into deteriorating your health. All right. And you also, this is a very key point that I think a lot of people do not incorporate, because I always see the cardio bunnies. I'm not mad at that. I believe in cardio and for your heart health, for your cardiovascular system. But if you're using it as a plan to lose weight, I don't think long lasting results will come that way. You'll just be a smaller version of yourself. Right? I did a video on that, body weight versus fat loss. You want to burn fat, okay? And the best way to do that is strength training. You know, I like kung fu movies, especially the old school ones. You know, when they talked about, you killed my father. They move lips. That's the one I like. But they all have around the same theme. They get beat up, they go home, they get stronger, then they come back and beat the person who killed their family to avenge, their family's honor and all that good stuff. But you get my drift, right? Start strength training, because not only do you build muscle, it helps with bone density, especially for my ladies. You're not gonna look like a man. It's 2025. We have to stop with the bullshit. You're not gonna look like a man. You can count on one hand, right? How many women you see that look manly that lift weights in your gym? Go ahead and count. I'll wait. It ain't gonna be 5 of them, and they lift heavy. And I know women personally that lift heavy and still have a nice shape and have their curves and look soft and feminine. Okay, but what it does too with strengthening your bone density, it helps prevent you with any injury long term, right? Especially with osteoporosis, because we know that women suffer from that as they go up in age, right? That's why if you look in hospitals or in the medical settings, they have with the elderly, they really watch how they move, because they don't have any muscles to support their bones. So skeletal muscle health, they're interrelated. So it's very important that we strengthen these organs in order to have a better productive life. All right. And also, when you do that, you go into what is called body recomposition, where you're burning fat and you're building muscle. So don't get too caught up in the scale per se, because what tends to happen is you're going to get discouraged, because you're like, oh my God, the scale's not moving, but your clothes are fitting better. You're having more energy. You're looking younger, because of your new healthy habits that you're adapting. Okay. So the scale is just a tool, but it's not the end all be all. Look at your clothes and take pictures. That's what I tell my clients, right? Okay. And when it comes to all this information, because I know there's a lot of misinformation out here, especially on social media platforms. Everybody think they're a guru and they're a scholar. Just vet them, ask the certain questions, and ask someone that you see that's right next to you. You know what I'm saying? Everybody use ChatGPT, but I mean, to me, it's a tool that we used, but ask questions and look at those who actually done it. See somebody in real time who has a body that you admire. Hey, ask them, yo, how did you get like that? What did you do? Okay, but that's only one source. Ask someone else. And then you can take, chew the meat and spit out the bones and see if you can add those same principles to your life and see what works for you. Okay? So it all begins really how bad you really want it, and it starts up here. All is mind, right? That's what's one of the Hermetic principles. Everything begins here, right? It says, "I'll be transformed by the renewal of your mind first." So you have to see yourself and really want to be that new person, right? Take off the old man, put on the new man or woman in this aspect. All right. And then from there, ask the questions, get help if you need. Don't do it on your own. Get around people who actually want to see you win. Because sometimes when we start making this progress, right, to be skinny boned, that's a joke, right? You're going to have naysayers or people that's going to discourage you because you're making a change, a lifestyle change. Therefore, in order to keep being strong, you have to go into a community with people with like minds to help you go along the way in your journey. Okay. And if it's something that you need help, click the link in the description below. Let's set up a call and see if we can help you. All right. Alchemy Fitness signing off, where we transfer you from lead to gold. Want to train hard, train smart, and train safe. Peace.